Let's get to the Chargers and the Rams. Again, we have another Battle of LA. Like, what do we have a nickname for this one? Chargers, Rams. This one's new, right? I mean, like the Jets and the Giants have obviously been New York teams.
This one's easy. This one's really. I don't know if this has already been suggested, but I just figured it out. It's the SoFi Showdown. It's that simple.
It's good. No, alliteration. It's good. It's good.
Boom. Nailed
People
it.
love it.
Somebody back there get it patented.
Showdown. I don't know if it's insulting enough. I feel like it's got to be more insulting or more violent. One of the two. When we're talking about, because you got to think about this, Dalton. It's the preseason. We got to get people excited. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The MetLife melee. Maybe you see a little preseason brawl. Maybe you get a little preseason brawl in there. I don't know. I'm not encouraging it, but hey, maybe it happens. Obviously, Abdul Carter's not a big fan of the Jets. I think that attitude might be able to permeate over the next couple of years.
I'm sure. Look, things in LA though, they're usually a little more relaxed, Trevor. People, it's the summer. They're hanging out inside. They're in a dome, right? Like you got two fan bases with two good teams that made the playoffs. It's more relaxed. It's the West Coast, right? New York, the two teams have a combined one playoff appearance since 2011. They're quite irritated. I think it makes more sense there with the Jets and Giants.
You were so close to just calling it soft football. I could feel it. I could feel the coach in you being like, get this air conditioning out of my game.
It's not the Pac-12 now. Relax, Trev. It's not the way the SEC people talk about the Pac-12 and how that used to be. Come on now. Easy. They all play hard in the NFL.
Brian said the slop fest in SoFi. Come on. See, it was pretty close. Rams win this game 23-22. Let's take a look at the top 5 players for the Los Angeles Rams in this one. Edge rusher Keir Thomas with a 90.2. Offensive tackle KT Levison with an 89.8. Offensive guard Justin Dedich with an 85.5. Defensive tackle Deshaun Johnson with an 85.1. Defensive tackle Jack Heflin with a 78.0. And then on the Charger side of things, safety Tony Jefferson, the vet, with an 86.2. Wide receiver Trey Harris. He's looking good. 85.3. Quarterback Trey Lance, also looking good. 80.6. Wide receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith, a 75.7. And then cornerback Miles Purchase with a 71.3. What are we talking about here, Dalton?
Multiple things just within that top 4 of the Chargers. First of all, I'm pretty sure Tony Jefferson was their highest graded player last week, and he's like some kind of preseason legend. I forget who it was for us that tweeted this out, but Tony Jefferson's grades in the preseason are like some sort of ridiculous. So that's one thing in a really good
like for his career?
I think so. I think somebody had mentioned this where it's like multiple seasons now where like preseason Tony Jefferson is like the greatest player we've ever seen. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Two, especially in this game compared to the quarterback situation behind Justin Herbert, the way they looked in this game between Trey Lance and Taylor Heineke, I think Lance really might be the backup here. I think he went to the perfect situation with Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, and especially the way that they can use his athleticism to their advantage. And then I think the biggest story that pertains to this starting lineup is those two receivers you mentioned in the top 4, Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith. I think they've both really impressed this team, and they're going to play a role on this team, especially now Quentin Johnston suffered the concussion in this game. Harris and Lambert-Smith both as vertical threats. It feels like, I mentioned before the Lions having a type at wide receiver. Jim Harbaugh has a type at wide receiver, and it's just guys that get vertical. I think Trey Harris, one thing that concerned me coming out of the draft was a lack of route diversity and a lack of twitchiness in some of his routes. But in this offense, he can run a lot of the same vertical tree that he did at Ole Miss, and he can have success. You saw that in this game with 6 catches and 85 yards. Keandre Lambert-Smith, kind of the same way at Penn State and in Auburn. Really, they only got vertical with him in those offenses, but they're going to do that in this offense with the way they want to run the football. They want to throw it to Ladd McConkey underneath, and then these guys on the outside, if they're just burners who can get deep and allow Justin Herbert to be Justin Herbert, that was the big thing, is that he had his best season throwing the ball vertically last year. I think they're in the perfect role, both Harris and Lambert-Smith. I think they're both going to be key parts of this passing game.
Yeah, I think that those two guys looking good is really important for this team. One that we were like, okay, where are the options for Justin Herbert to throw the ball last year? There just weren't a lot that he felt super confident about outside of Ladd McConkey. Again, it's been a theme of this show, but I'll say it again. Trey Harris looking good in the ways that we thought he would look good is really important. Sideline, on the line of scrimmage, deep threat, vertical wide receiver. That is how he wanted Ole Miss. That was why his grades were so high, and we are seeing that with him in the preseason already. You love when you draft a player and the exact vision that you had for them, what they did well in college, is already showing up early in the NFL, because that means there might be something more in the tank, right? If it's very natural for them to win in ways that they won in college, then you can, okay, year 2, year 3, year 4, now you can be a player who evolves past what you were even great at in college and a reason why you were drafted for a team. So for Trey Harris to already be looking good in the area that we wanted him to look good, not only does it mean a lot, in my opinion, for the Chargers downfield passing game, but it also means a lot towards you playing above whatever your draft position was, because you can evolve now as a player. You already have sort of established what you did well in college. Now it's all about getting better. So I'm really excited about Trey Harris. I think he landed in a really good spot, especially with Justin Herbert and the capabilities of his arm. And I do agree with you there. I think Trey Lance is looking really good as well. Confidence for quarterbacks. I said that it wouldn't be the last time that we talked about that when we were talking about it early on in the show. And I think Trey Lance finally looks like he's in a place where he is confident. And I think that matters a lot as somebody who's going to win that quarterback 2 battle. I'm sticking with the Chargers. I know we talked, but we want to kind of go with both teams, but for the Rams, it's sort of tough for me, because I think the biggest storyline with the Rams is with Matthew Stafford at the quarterback position. Obviously, Stetson Bennett played really well, and he showcased, I mean, we joked around, but not really joking around. Stetson Bennett just, he won't go away. He was somebody who, Kirby Smart talked about this when he was at Georgia, right, as a walk-on. He's like, I just couldn't cut the kid. Like, I could not get rid of him, and he eventually works his way to being a starting quarterback, being a back-to-back national champion. And even when he's been in the NFL, he's looked pretty fearless. And I think that he looked fearless again in this preseason game. So that, to me, how good that he looks is important, because Jimmy Garoppolo is not playing at all in this preseason. The reason why is because of the big unknown with Matthew Stafford's back. I'm not breaking any news. I'm not sharing any sort of like inside information here. I'd be worried about Stafford if I was a Rams fan. I really would. I mean, the deadlines that they have placed on him to practice and participate that he has not been able to, I think is very worrisome. I think that it is today that McVay is meeting with the media and maybe having a Matthew Stafford update. I hope. This team is so much fun with Matthew Stafford there. And I said this last year. If it's not a blizzard of a football game, I really do think the Rams had a legit chance to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs last year. But it being a snow game, it's not how the Rams are built to play in those conditions in that weather. So it was never going to work out for them. But they were playing that well as a football team. And with Matthew Stafford, you can. Without him, it gets really murky. But anyways, back on the Chargers side of things, you mentioned those rookies on the offensive side of the ball. How about our boy R.J. Mickens? Right? The Chargers have played 3 games now because they played the Hall of Fame game. But he has played the most snaps out of anybody in the preseason so far. He's played over 150 snaps this preseason. Dalton, 91.0 overall grade. Come on. This is our dude. Played really well at Clemson. Just such a smart football player. Very versatile safety. He can play free safety roles for you. He's really good when he is attacking downhill. He's got those long arms to him to get up in the passing window, disrupt the catching point, and he just anticipates things really well. I think he's playing at a very smart level, and you only get those types of PFF grades in the preseason. Yes, for the big plays that you make, but also eliminating the bad plays and not being out of place, not having a lot of negative plays on your ledger. So R.J. Mickens also playing really well. It's just really good returns so far for the Chargers rookie class, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I have your Tony Jefferson stat, by the way. So it's the last 2 years. Last year, in 109 preseason snaps, 94.3 PFF grade. This year, 94.2. So for whatever reason, when he got to the Chargers, he's just the best player in football in the preseason, and obviously a contributor in the regular season as well, behind Derwin James and Alohi Gilman. And then you say it with Mickens also. I mean, we kid around, but this is a loaded group of safeties. I mean, this might front to back 1 through 4 or 5 be the best safety room in football. Obviously, you've got the Lions with their 2 guys. You've got the Ravens this year with their couple of guys with Hamilton and Starks. But this Chargers safety unit is a big reason that this defense is so good. And I believe they allowed the 3rd lowest rate of explosive pass plays in the league last year. When you have safeties like that, that's how it gets done.